Hi all, Hal here with more Take on Mars, and we had a little setback after the last episode. I continued playing through and had a crash and unfortunately lost the save up to that point. So we have reverted back to an earlier save, and what I wanted to do is, since I'm going to go through most of this process anyway, I wanted to take a couple of minutes and just explain some of the UI. I've had a couple of people ask me specifically about the UI because while there are sources of information available, not everything is readily available and it's not always easy to work your way through it. So what we're going to do today is to actually walk through some of the very basic elements and to give you just that very quick hands-on overview. So first thing we're going to do is let's talk about the tech tree. The tech tree is probably one of the most important aspects of the game because the tech tree is what allows you to actually complete the missions, and by researching technology and unlocking new tools and technology within the game, it opens up new missions for you. Without unlocking anything, if you just do from a fresh start, when you go and look at Mars, you'll have a couple of places that you can put a probe, and the only thing you're going to be able to do is land the probe there. There's a very basic camera that allows you to take some pictures, but the mission is just basically to put a probe at a spot on Mars. So as you unlock new technology, as you know I already have the lander unlocked. There's what they call a mobile chassis, which is what allows you to unlock your rovers, the small robotic vehicles that you can control from your lander. And then there's a zero-G probe, which you use to do things like moon exploration, something that's as close to zero-G or including zero-G as possible. And what that does is it uses compressed air to navigate itself, to maneuver itself around and to navigate. And you control that from remotely as well. So each of these three items are what you call the chassis, right? They are the underlying structure that everything else is built on. So depending on what you have unlocked and which chain you go down first, it will open up the ability to do different types of research and exploration on Mars or any of the other target planets that you are aiming at. So we've already seen that there's robotics and engineering, there's optics and electronics, software and communications, chemistry and geology, and then the physics and thermodynamics. As you can see, I've already gone about halfway through some of the tiers, and I am just starting in some of the other chains. So what we're going to do is we've got 2.6 million available to do some research, so let's do some research. The quick way to find what you want to unlock is you have the list on the left-hand side. So let's go with let's do some of the instruments. Let's look at the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer. So you have your guidelines down here. Just follow those, and it'll take you to the elements that you need to unlock to be able to use that particular tool. We've already got the low power socket system, so we need the X-ray sensor. That's going to cost us $150,000 and 15.5 hours, which I think for this is the longest for this particular instrument. The times, because we're playing with time compression on, doesn't really matter because we can skip time. For those who choose to play in the realistic time setting without time compression allowed, that means that this will require you to wait real world at this point to unlock this instrument 15.5 hours. That'll encompass all of the other elements as well. So 13 hours for one, another 14 hours for this one, and then 15.5 for the first. If you are playing with the realistic time settings, what the game does is when you quit out, the clock keeps counting. My assumption is that it basically looks at your system time. It does a timestamp on your save. When you get back in, it does a quick compare and says, okay, X number of hours or minutes have progressed, so this is either completed or it's not, and it'll update accordingly. That's my guess. They may actually have some small task that runs in the background. Who knows? I don't think they have anything running outside of the game, so if they do, it usually causes problems, so most people avoid that kind of stuff. But it does have the ability to turn off time compression. So now we've got all of these researched, and we're going to back out of here. We have research beginning on them. So while we're waiting for the tech to unlock, let's look at the primary mission screen, which is the large screen here in the middle. And as you can see, we've got a bunch of locations available on Mars. Victoria Crater has no missions available, but you can see I've placed 6 vehicles up there. There's Mars Orbit, which we have nothing that we can do there. The Lloyd Crater, again, we have vehicles but no missions. But when we come around to the Kaiser Crater, we actually have missions available. As you can see, I already have 1 lander on planet. There's another marker here for another mission, and then the 4 in the corners. As you can see with the 4 in the corners, there's this circular hashed space around it, and what that is telling you is that's the area that your primary missions for that location are going to be within. Because you don't see the hash area here, what we'll do is let's go into the launch vehicle screen and we'll show you a close-up. There is actually a mission area for it, but it is very, very small. Because of this, for these types of missions, I really recommend that you have the lander, the actual lander chassis unlocked, because it has flight control systems that will get you pretty much on target every time. Now, you do have the option when you're using landers to maneuver them manually when they're in their descent and even after they've landed. I don't recommend doing that unless you know exactly what you're doing, because the game does use real Newtonian physics. So, a reaction, equal opposite reaction, inertia, all of it comes into effect. So if you are not careful, you will destroy your probes. I've done it. There are actually achievements for doing this because they expect you to destroy stuff at some point. So do keep that in mind. If you don't want to throw away the money for the lander that you're using, then you probably don't want to do it manual. Again, hey, everyone likes to take a risk once in a while. It's all you. So let's go back. So while you're looking at the mission screen, this is also a good example of showing you just exactly what's happening in the mission screen, because there's a lot of data here. So what you're looking at right now is the mission name, what the total mission is worth if you complete all of the major objectives. There's a second value if there are secondary minor objectives, that if there's any money associated to those, you'll see that here as well. Tells you what your priority is. This could be major, and minor, whatever the mission happens to be for. And as you can see, I've already completed 94% of this. Now, the reason why I've only completed 94% of this is because I crashed my lander. So I was still able to achieve most of my objectives. But yeah, I destroyed my lander. I couldn't do the cameras. I couldn't take any of the pictures. So I'm going to have to now launch another lander, which is going to cost me roughly $300,000 on a mission that pays out $620,000. So I'm actually, at the end of the day, losing out about $3,000 on this mission to complete the mission. So this is why it's very important to understand exactly what the mission details include and what you need in order to complete your missions. So, as you can see here, the major payout that I need to finish is the photo. It's looking for 18 points. There are no special scenarios or requirements on it, so that there's nothing else to worry about. It's just I need to get 18 photos. Because the one thing I destroyed on my probe was the camera, right? The figures, right? I was able to do the explore. I was able to do the analyze. And what will happen is if you have an analyze mission, there will be a small text here. It'll say like EAS or AS or something else. And what that's telling you is the type of analysis you need to do while you're there in the scenario. Let's go ahead and close. Let's go back to the map really quick. And the reason why that's important is because you have to know which of your instruments are available. So as you unlock more of these instruments, you will unlock more missions that are related to those instruments. So the EAS, which is the Environmental Analysis Station, that is your atmospheric survey, basically. That allows you to do an atmosphere capture and analysis. So the soil analysis is just what it says. You basically it's a robotic probe that you shove into the ground, and it does a very quick analysis of the soil composition. We're unlocking the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer because that is one of the illumination. Let's go back here. Looks like we have a storm on Mars coming up. Yep, Victoria Crater's got a storm. There's actually there are survey elements that you can do. Like if you have a lander on Mars in one of the areas that these come up, if you have a weather station on it, you can actually get information from the weather pattern. So these notices are important as well. And then any of your mission objectives or updates, as you can see, I landed a probe somewhere, so I got 150,000 for landing it. And you can just left click to clear those out of your queue. What we're going to do, actually, let's go ahead and skip time. We need to kill 15.5 hours, so I'm going to do a single time skip for 1 hour, and then we're going to do, when we come back, we'll do another 15 hours so that we have the new instruments unlocked, because I kind of want to do the spectral analysis. Alright, so we have a weather warning. We're going to go ahead and skip. Come on. Let's go ahead and skip 12 hours. Oh, I should have skipped 13 hours the first time. Eyes can count. It's the beer, sorry. I'll blame the beer. Okay. So we still have, what, about... how much time do we have? So about 2.5 hours. So yeah, we'll go ahead and skip 3 more hours. And yeah, using the mouse wheel to scroll will change your perspective on the planet, but it also affects whatever you're scrolling on. So, So let's go ahead and get this, and this will unlock our new instruments. And we get the update, so our new technology, X-ray firmware, and we've got a couple of weather warnings. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear our updates out. We're going to scroll out a little bit because we want the Kaiser crater. So as you can see, we have 6 missions there. We have 7 missions now at the Gale crater. Gustav still has nothing. South Pole has nothing. Victoria Crater now has a new mission. Mars Orbit still has nothing. So as you can see, as you unlock the technology, your missions available will increase. If you want to look around at some of the other bodies in the galaxy, you can look at Deimos, which is one of the moons of Mars. You have Earth's moon, obviously, and then the asteroid belt. Each of these locations will have missions available. As you can see, we don't really have anything available out here because we don't have the technology unlocked yet. So again, your technology, very, very important. This is what allows you to do everything you need to do. Let's go back to Mars. And we are going to go to the Kaiser crater. So we have a new mission marker here. And this is going to be our APX, which is our new technology. Let's take a look at our mission details. So we actually need 2 different types of scientific equipment. We need the APXS, which is the alpha particle, and we need the soil probe. We also need at least 1 camera to take 14 pictures, and we're looking at the landing zone because that's a pretty precise zone. We're going to use a regular lander for this, not a probe. So, what else do we have? So we actually need 3 equipment. We need the EAS as well. So we're going to go ahead and build let's go construct our vehicle for this mission. So in order to put any of the environmentals in here, we do need to put the robotic arm. So you select it, left click on your green block, and that you put your robotic arm in, and that will allow you to then say, it's only going to give us 2. So this is a primary mission. Oh, okay, we can put that. Yeah, let's put that here. Soil probe will go in the other one, and the environmental station will go on the top. So now we have all 3 of the instruments that we need. We need... we could put a monitoring station in. No. So we're going to go ahead and put the low gain antenna on it so that we are able to complete our build out. We need to add some cameras. Let us go with... This is going to be a fairly good, well-paying mission, so let's go wide angle. We'll use the advanced telefocus. And now we just need a power source. If we didn't have both of the upper blocks occupied, we could put a solar cell in, but because we do, let's go with chemical batteries. We're going to drop, I don't know, let's put 3 in there. That's more than enough power than we'll probably ever need. Alright, so now that we have our vehicle, we're going to go ahead and launch. So use your mouse wheel to scroll in on your targeting here. Wow, that is a really small targeting area. And then using your right mouse button, if you click and drag, you can pan your view. And what you want to do is be as close to center as possible, because this is where your probe is going. You're trying to land your probe. One of the reasons why I suggest you use the actual landers for these is because, like I said, they do have navigation software and their own thruster system. So what they'll be able to do is they'll get you on target every time, as long as you let them do their job. Moving into here, so... Oh, looks like we're going to be on the night side. So I went ahead and turned the light on, and what you're looking at here is the heat shield for the planetary entry, which will fall away shortly. Let's go to night vision so you can at least try to see something. So with the cameras that are available, as you can see, you're in night vision right now. There are different things, like this is the thermo. This one is, I believe that one's the thermo inverse. I don't remember. And then your low light and normal vision. So as we come in, like I said, this is all being done automatically. The ship is piloting itself. While we're here, though, if you right-click, you will get your mouse interface. If you really want to take over, you can click the manual control button, and then using the control pads here, or your what's your normal WASD controls for first-person shooters, you would be able to control them that way as well. Okay, so now we are on the surface. As you can see, we've completed a couple of our missions already just by hitting our target. And we are in standard HUD, which is just basically video feed. No missions are really tied to this view. It's just so you can see what's going on around you. If you right-click, it puts you into mouse control. If you right-click again, it takes you back to mouse interface, or the pointer interface. So you have 4 cameras on this particular lander. Using the numbers across the top of your keyboard, you can choose which camera you are on. So starting at 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each of these cameras have different functions. Like this is just the landing camera, so this is fairly detailed, but it's more just about the making sure you're not hitting anything as you come down. Your telephoto lens, it's your zoom camera. Basically, it's what allows you to see a little bit further for your mission objectives where you're looking for pictures. Let's switch over to camera 1. And as you see these little green hash marks, those are your mission objectives for photography. And every once in a while, you will get a small indicator down here on the bottom left corner of your highlight area that will say FAR. If you see the word FAR and it's in red letters, If you do see the word far, though, basically that means the camera you're using, it's beyond your ability to focus with, so you need to go to a telephoto or a multi-focus camera if you have one installed. If you don't, you won't be able to complete that objective. Okay, so while we're in the control view, all you have to do in order to take a picture, as you saw, we've got the camera HUD selected. Just left click, and as you see it turn, it now says far. That means one of my targets over there is actually outside the range of what I would normally be able to photograph. So let's see if we can catch an angle that will... Okay, yeah. So we'll go back to the wide. So we were able to get all of those, right? Make sure we're getting them all. And what we're doing is we're actually doing a site survey. And we have completed the photos, so we got everything that we needed. The mission tells you here's what Mars is made of, so it's telling you some basic information about Mars. This goes into the in-game wiki. This will tell you that you've completed some basic things, and this is how much you've been paid for the things that have been completed so far. Right? Pretty simple, right? So, if you are in the mouse pointer view, you can use your normal movement keys, again the WASD, to pan up, down, right, and left. And if you're in this mode, you can mouse over the center and left click, and that'll do your capture. So I think that is, let's check our mission log. We have completed 40% of our mission. 50% of it was the major tasks. So we still need to do the analyze. So what we want to do is to analyze, you come over to the first icon here, the drill looking probe. And our first is, let's do the, we know we need to do an environmental, so let's go ahead and do our atmospheric capture. We'll go ahead and start that. When you're doing these captures, you don't want to move the instrument. Some of the instruments require you to deploy probes, and moving them while the probe is deployed can break the instrument. If you break the instrument, you're going to have to launch another probe, and it's probably going to cost you as much as the first one. So you really don't want to do that, because that's cutting into your profit margin. I've actually lost, on one of my missions, I lost about 3,000 or 4,000 because I had to launch 2 probes because I broke one of the probes. So each of your scientific items have a set number of uses. As you can see, this one has 10 uses, and we've just completed our research. We've got 9 uses remaining, 10 total. And to choose which instrument you're using, you just left click on the instrument, choose the instrument that you want, select it, and this one I think we need to do an analyze, so we need to probe the soil. So this is going to be, let's see here, we need to get the arm, which is on here. So as you can see, there's our probe on the arm, and once you are in place, we need to find our target now. Alright, so let's retract the probe, because we really don't want to break that. Alright, so that's we need one of our probes here for the APX. Let's go ahead and do the APX one then, because we're already there. Oops. So let's select this. So what we're doing here is we're going to go ahead and do the X-ray survey, simply because we're already pointed in the area that we need to be. As you can see, there's a orangish rectangle on the screen. You can just see it here. This will adjust based on which way you've got the cameras pointed. So depending, as long as you have the right probe active, it'll give you that shows you where the target area is, basically. So we got our analyze done. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to our probe, and see if we can find where we need to be for our soil here. This one. Alright, so we need to be here. Alright, so let's go ahead. Oops. Let's see here. There we go. Why are you not letting me probe here? I should be able to probe this. There we go. Okay, so you need to be able to get there. So now that we're in the soil, there we go. This one's always a pain to get to work. You basically need to make sure only one probe is in the location at the time. So we're probing the soil. We'll be analyzing the soil, and this is one of those situations where if I were to move the arm at this point, I would break the probe. So, okay. We've completed all of our mission objectives, which is a good thing. So we are going to go ahead and retract our probe. Don't forget to do this, because if you are doing anything where you will need to relocate, you will break the probes if you forget to do that. Now, if you do need to relocate for some reason, if you press and hold the spacebar, it will bring up a control UI for the vehicle. When you are using the 0G probe, this will allow you to do things like kill your rotation and your torque, and turn on a gravitational alignment. So what you will do is you will always remain true to gravity. So the bottom of your probe will always be towards the surface. Some people find that easier to fly with. I generally turn the gravity alignment off and just freeform the flight on the 0G. What you can do here, though, is with the landers, is it puts you in flight mode, which basically activates your jets and takes you off of the surface so you can relocate. This particular mission did not require us to do that, but in some missions later on, you will have to reposition your probe. I do recommend that you use the scenarios to test and train your flight skills, because it is full Newtonian physics. You can spin out of control. Every action has equal opposite reaction. Laws of inertia, all of it is there. So keep that in mind. Be careful when you're doing it, because you can crash, and you probably will. And like I said, there are achievements for doing so. I have gotten at least one of them, if not two of them. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for stopping in today. This is like I said, very high-level tutorial. You can get into a lot more detail with it, and I know it seems kind of hard to believe, but yes, there is more detail below this. And I will continue to do these probably for one of the episodes out of the two each week. Next week we will do some of the scenario gameplay, and that way we can show you the first-person aspects of the game, which are a lot more interesting for a lot of people. So keep tuned. If you enjoyed this episode, you found anything useful, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. It'll definitely keep you up to date on what's going on with not just this series, but any of the other series, as well as when I go live for either Twitch or YouTube live streaming. And if you have any comments or questions, or if there's something you'd like to see more of, or questions you may have about things that you saw in this video or other videos, leave it in the comment section below. I'll do my best to reply to everybody that I can. And as always, be safe out there, and take care all.